The Kaleidescape Strato V is here, and I've already done a bunch of content. We talked about the hardware, did the monumental live stream, setting the thing up from scratch, going over all the different facets of the UI. But hey, that super long form content doesn't always appeal to everybody, so I wanted to make this separate, dedicated video all about the interface, the usability, the interoperability of the Kaleidescape Strato V running in standalone mode. We'll take a look all about what's in the UI, how does it work, some of the dynamic elements and such of it. So without further ado, let's dive in. Now I am running the Strato V here in my living room. We're running it on an 83-inch LG G2 OLED, Dolby Vision capable. We've watched a couple movies, and I have to say, I don't know that I've ever seen, I don't think I've ever seen it look better. The only thing it gives up to the theater, in fact, is projection to the projector, is screen size. But we are looking here at the V standalone mode, no Terra's servers connected, nothing like that. And we have the simplified UI basically built around the concept of these strips. The new strip contains elements that have been basically newly downloaded to the device or essentially not watched, at least in their totality, quite yet. So I've downloaded several movies here, Harry Potter, John Wick, etc., and they all appear in this single strip. One thing to note is the strip is kind of defined. Its start and its end point is defined, so as I'm swiping left and right, I'm actually using the mobile app for control right now. I can't go left and get to the right-hand side of the end of the list or vice versa. This list also is obviously not sorted by alphabetical order or anything like that. It appears to be sorted by the order in which the content was downloaded. I can attest to that. I downloaded Empire Strikes Back as the oldest movie in this list, going from right to left to the newest one or the latest one that I had actually downloaded. Second strip that we're looking at here is pause. So at some point in time here recently, I had started playback of Empire Strikes Back. I paused, stopped playback, left the movie, and now in doing so, that title shows up in the paused list. Now these lists are very dynamic, so if you don't actually have an entry that satisfies the requirement or meets the requirements of that given horizontal list, then interestingly that horizontal list will not actually appear. I have gamed my system a little bit here to make sure that we see a variety of the list, or all of the lists, I think fundamentally, that can appear on the interface. So the third one down from the top here is played. Now we have watched two movies. We watched Guardians, we watched Avengers Age of Ultron, going through the MCU from the start with my kids, having a lot of fun doing that. Notice as well that when something hits the requirement, or fulfills the requirement basically of being played, it's no longer in the new list. But items that are paused still show up there in the new list. Next up is favorites, and we'll go into the specific movie details pages and all of that in just a second. But suffice to say here, I specifically favorited John Wick 4. We'll talk a little bit about what that means in a minute when we talk about how the Strato V determines when it's downloading something it's out of space, what does it do, how does it manage that. And lastly, this is a hot topic that's been asked about to me a number of times, specifically, hey, does the Strato V support scenes, and does it support the Kaleidescape scripts? And I've tried it, and I can show you right here, of course. We're looking at a manually created script that I made in the web browser on my computer for this specific Strato V, using content that is available, currently downloaded to the Strato V. And after having done so, after having created a single script, the script horizontal row shows up and those items are present there. So let's go back up to the top and let's kind of go through the movie details page. Now this is, if you're used to the Kaleidescape ecosystem, the traditional UIs that we get in Kaleidescape, this will be very familiar. There's not really much that changed. There's a couple of options, but not really anything else of major note that is changed in the movie details page. This is also one of the areas, quite honestly, that I think could have a little bit of room for improvement. I'd like to see a little more information. I'd like to know the audio codecs and other details, more specific technical details and such about the film. But this is what we have. We can see our rating, we can see our runtime, and we can see some technical information, more so related to the video than the audio. It's telling me this is a 4K Dolby Vision download. It tells me the aspect ratio, year of the movie, very short synopsis, as well as some information about the genres that it falls in, cast, director, and so on. If I return, that just takes me back to the main menu there. Of course, I can go down, play movie, would start the movie itself. Under play movie, we do have the option again to jump into those scenes. Gotta love the scenes in the Kaleidescape ecosystem. I think it's one of the coolest set it apart type of experiences that the platform provides. So most movies have them, and I think generally speaking they do a really good job about identifying some of the best scenes or the best scenes that you would want to jump into in a piece of content. So we see several of them here for the Harry Potter movie. Now, this is great. This has been a newer evolution, I think, in the platform overall. The ability to download the 4K instance of a film and get the special features. So after play scene, here we can see play extras. I can go over, I can either play them all back to back to back to back, or I can go through individually and pick a specific extra to watch. We don't get a lot of metadata necessarily about the extras, just basically the title, the name of whatever that individual extra is, but the fact that we have them is pretty cool. Next up, we have the ability to manage the collections that our films can go in. Now, there are two system collections defined here. There are favorites and there are played. I talked a little bit about how I had added John Wick to my favorites. And what a favorites allows us to do is to basically protect that piece of content from being deleted from the Strato V's memory. Of course, the Strato V comes with, functionally speaking, about 1 terabyte of storage space, and that's good for roughly 10 or so 4K 2-hour-ish movies. Eventually, you're going to fill that thing up, of course, and the Strato V in a standalone mode is really meant to be a cycling content type of use case, meaning that you download something, you watch it, remove it, delete it, etc., or you let it auto-delete. As you download new stuff, the Strato will be analyzing this list, and it'll make decisions to, say, auto-delete the oldest played content automatically. So you never get stuck if you're away, you're using the web, you're using the mobile app, you kick off a download, and hey, there's no room. Well, the Strato will make room. But protecting stuff from being deleted is essentially the whole concept behind putting stuff in the favorites list. When you have a movie selected for that favorites collection, that movie will not be auto-deleted by the Strato during its memory management, download management type of operations. So pretty cool overall. I think that's a smart feature, and yeah, with 10-ish titles, you may actually have a couple of movies that you always want to have access to, some real big time favorites that you might use to demo your theater pretty regularly, or that you may just really enjoy and you find yourself often kind of jumping into those scenes. Mark them as favorites and they will be protected. I'm going to go back into the menu. We'll go back to the very last option then, which is more options. Click on that, and we have the ability to play different versions of a film. This is a little more useful, I think, if you were storing a lot of content. You had a Tera, you had a Dolby Vision zone, you had a non-Dolby Vision zone, and you need to be able to specifically select like which version, which format of a movie that the Strato can see that it may want to play in that instance. I will say that if you're using the Strato V, this is a video here, of course, conversation focused on the standalone mode, I wouldn't expect that you will ever have to come in to specifically play version, select a format. When you're using the V in standalone mode, you're going to always download the HDR format that matches your display. If you're using the V with the flat panel that does Dolby Vision, hey, absolutely, take advantage. Use the Dolby Vision films. If you're using a Strato V in a standalone environment, maybe you have a Samsung TV, maybe it's a theater with a projector, then you're probably downloading the HDR10 versions, and again, still no reason that you would need to specifically select it. Now, we do have some options here for scene management. You can forget scenes, basically remove them from the list. I would pretty much never recommend deleting one of the standard scenes that is available on the movie, but really the reason that you may want to delete scenes is because you can actually define your own scenes. And so maybe at some point in time you decide, I don't really want that one around anymore. Now let's go ahead and do a delete actually while we're here. I'm going to go ahead and delete Guardians. We watched that. It was the oldest movie on the Strato that we watched. And if I go in here, I delete movie. Are you sure you want to delete this movie? Heck yeah, got to make room for watching more stuff. Now it's gone. It shows up nowhere in the UI anymore. And of course, just to make sure that it's very clear, deleting the movie is only deleting it from the local storage on the V. That movie and my rights to play it, my quote-unquote ownership of that film in my Kaleidescape account within the Kaleidescape ecosystem is retained. I could very easily pull up my phone, go to the web page if I ever wanted to watch Guardians, or when I wanted to watch Guardians of the Galaxy again, kick off another download, and enjoy it to my heart's content. The delete is only a removal from local storage. It is not a delete from your account. I'm going to go ahead and unfavorite Harry Potter because I don't think we need to keep it as a favorite. And that's basically what we get kind of in the UI right now. There are a couple of other submenus. You'll notice the store doesn't show up. That is coming in a pending future update. But I can go through these other menu sections. If you are familiar with the Kaleidescape API, these are fundamentally equivalent to what you see, what you have historically seen there. So under status, I get a couple of pieces of information. I get a content summary. I can see movies. I have 6 downloaded, 9 versions. I think the reason that we're seeing 3 versions is because 3 of those movies have special features with them, and I think that may consider that to be a version. There are no downloads in progress. In available storage, I have room for 4 more 4K HDR UHD movies, 8 high definition, or a whopping 47 standard definition movies. System summary tells me some details, tells me the name of my system, current time, current OS version, connection to the Kaleidescape online system, which is how updates are managed, serial number, IP addresses, and all of that. And then we also have a downloads tab over here, which would show me if something was being actively downloaded, what it was, how long it's been, time left, etc. So that is the status menu. Lastly, I have the settings menu. So a couple of options here. I can return. I have player options. I can set a screensaver timeout up to a number of minutes, or just disable the screensaver altogether. The Kaleidescape screensaver is essentially just a Kaleidescape, the name and kind of the logo orbiting around, floating around the screen. I can control standby power modes. There is a high power and a low power. Of course, if you're running with network control, IP control, you want to use the apps and stuff like that, you are going to want to use high power standby. And it is a nice little aspect of the Strato V that it does consume less power than the Strato C before it. Network information, if I wanted to change from dynamic to static IPs and so on, I would be able to do that here. I can change the name of the player. I can name it for the room that it's in, or if I wanted to, I could also give it a specific custom name. Pretty neat and pretty common for a lot of set-top style boxes. We have some options around language and subtitles, allowing me to set preferences for movie language, the type of movie audio that is being played, as well as setting some default options about what language of subtitles may appear in my content. Advanced lets me control things around calibration, test masking systems, and so on. I think the really important one here has to do with subtitle repositioning. If we're using screen masks, if we have a scope screen, I think this is one of the key, most awesome features of kind of KOS and the Kaleidescape player settings is that we can do this. We can automatically reposition subtitles within the movie image. If you have a projector, you have a scope screen, you're zooming up, you absolutely want to set this setting. It takes away the need for your MadVR Envy or Lumigen or whatever to pop your images down so that you can see subtitles in films. It's always superior if the player can just render the subtitles right in the movie image, and then you don't need any additional video processing for subtitle management. If you noticed, in my case here, I had it do not automatically reposition the subtitles because this specific Strato in my setup is running on a 16:9 television. In that case, hey, I probably want the subtitles to be in the black bars below the scope image because no matter what, I'm not zooming. It's a fixed 16:9 flat panel television, and so there's always going to be black bars on the top and bottom of the content. So these settings do depend, right? They do vary depending on specifically your display, your setup, your system. And then lastly here, we do have an option to reset the player to factory defaults. You would need to do this depending, of course, if you need to reset it back up for some reason. I understand that you have to go through like a reset and a resetup step to move the player from like standalone to grouped mode if you ever add a Terra server in the future, or of course if you sell it, but hey, why in the world would you ever want to sell it? Time zone can be set. Recommend setting that to your local time. And then of course options to deactivate the player if for some reason, again, you want to take it out of your system. There are a variety of these settings available on the player. The more advanced settings, the settings related to audio and video performance and that sort of stuff, is not available directly in the player UI itself. For that, you have to go to the web interface controls, and you do that by going to the IP address of your player on your iPad, on your laptop, computer, whatever it may be. And that effectively concludes our on-device walkthrough of the Kaleidescape Strato V standalone movie experience. All in all, for what this is, I think the experience is pretty good. I think I understand why they did it, and I think they made a pretty good choice. I think they did some good engineering. I like how the strips are dynamic, and they show up or they go away depending on if there's a piece of content that fulfills the requirement to be in that strip. I do look forward to more development, of course. I'm always big on usability, on UIs and stuff like that here on the channel. I enjoy software features, updates, and so on. And so I do look forward to seeing what else comes to the standalone V experience. What else can they do to power it up? What other features and capabilities could be added? If you have some ideas for stuff like that, sound off in the comments. Leave the comments down below. Maybe Kaleidescape will take some of your ideas to heart. Of course, if you're looking for one of these things, I am a Kaleidescape Direct Certified Authorized Dealer, and I would love to help you out directly. Reach out through the channel or email me, jeremy@techthusiasm.net. More than happy to answer all your questions, talk about the options in the platform, hey, and get you hooked up for some Kaleidescape awesomeness. If that doesn't work out and you'd like to help me out in other ways, there's a bunch of affiliate options and other support options down in the description. Leave a super thanks, become a channel member, shop with my friends at Audio Advice, Amazon, Best Buy, Target, Newegg, and more. Your support is always very much appreciated, and if you would, hey, please do that regular YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, share the video, leave a comment. Let's discuss the standalone Kaleidescape Strato V experience. Thanks so much for watching. Come on back for more home theater discussion and fun.